بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين، سيدنا وحبيبنا وصاحب نعمتنا أبي القاسم محمد بن عبد الله وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين وصحبه المنتجبين، واللعن الدائم على أعدائهم أجمعين من حين عداوتهم إلى قيام يوم الدين. أما بعد، فقد قال الله في محكم كتابه في سورة الأنفال آية 25: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم: واتقوا فتنة لا تصيبن الذين ظلموا منكم خاصة واعلموا أن الله شديد العقاب. صدق الله العلي العظيم. عظم الله أجوركم وأجورنا بمصاب أبي عبد الله الحسين، رزقنا الله وإياكم زيارة قبره في الدنيا، ورزقنا الله وإياكم زيارته لنا في قبورنا، ورزقنا الله وإياكم شفاعته يوم القيامة. In light of the verse that I recited to you guys, where it advises us to take taqwa, to be aware. So if we translated the ayah one word at a time, it is say that we have to be aware of a fitna, of any kind of fitna. The reason being, because the consequences, وَاتَّقُوا فِتْنَةً لَا تُصِيبَنَّ الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا مِنْكُمْ خَاصَّةً. Be aware of a fitna, that the consequences is not going to come back to the person who did the mistake. It's going to come back to harm everybody. Everyone is included. So no one can say, oh, I didn't do the fitna. لا تصيبن الذين ظلموا منكم خاصة واعلموا, and make sure that you know, أن الله شديد العقاب. Allah has a punishment that is very extreme. This ayah is somewhat scary for all of us, because if I do mistakes, if I do dhunub, when the adab that is going to happen to me, it's not going to reach me by myself. It's narrated that there was a town that had reached the ghadab of Allah, and it was time for them to be destroyed. So Allah sent two of His angels to destroy this town completely. When they came down from the heavens, they saw a man that was worshipping Allah. And these two angels started asking, is he included in this ghadab, in this wrath, in this demolition, when we're going to destroy this town? Is this man included, since he prays? You know, mashallah, he does salatul layl. So they didn't know. They couldn't carry on the duty. So they had to come back. It was narrated that they went back to the heavens and they asked Allah, Ya Allah, O Lord, should we include this man in this adab? And the answer was, believe it or not, answer was, you begin with him. He is the source. You begin with him. You destroy him. You punish him first, and then you go punishing the rest of the town. They were very appalled. They were very surprised. This man is worshipping. This one is doing salatul layl. Why is it that we start with him? And the answer was, he, not once in his life, frowned in the faces of the people that do wrong. All he did is, in our terms, is zahma, aib, and it's okay. We set aside the values that Allah have set for us, and we go by our local values. عيب يعني it's you know it's unknown that we tell someone, hey, you know, there's a group of people that we know, and like we know them on a personal level. They invited a couple of friends, and these people, the guests, said, we're not coming to your house. And they said, why aren't you coming to our house? Aren't we your friends? They're like, technically, no, you're not our friends. I said, why? I said, because you don't pay your khums. Your khums, you know, the ayah that says, you know, the khums that we have, that we pay for those who are capable, you don't pay your khums. Therefore, not only are you stealing from the needy people, but you're also stealing from Imam al-Mahdi and Rasulullah and the people that need it. You know, when we say Imam al-Mahdi, he's representative, you know, he's the representative of Rasulullah. And they said, you stealing from Imam al-Mahdi and you expect me to go and eat at your house? For these people to tell the truth and to be honest and to be upfront, people said, well, why did you say that? That was very mean. Subhanallah. To say the truth is nowadays mean. Why is it that when someone tells me the truth about what I'm doing, I consider it to be mean? When someone, you know, criticizes the way my daughter is dressed, you know, why is it that I am very upset, you know, that somebody points out to me? Well, for one, I anticipate myself to be the best man there is. There is no one that's better than me. That's why I get angry, because somebody is telling me that there is a fault in me, and there is no way that I have any faults. That's the number one reason. Second reason is it is hard for me to change back now that I've gone so far. It is really hard. There was a Egyptian actress. They asked her, we want you to wear this kind of wardrobe in a movie. And she said, I can't wear this clothes. I said, why not? You're an actress. Yeah, mashallah. Or, you know, you guys see in TV and Middle East, you know, their name is Muslim. They're not even Muslim, you know. You've got a movie that is about Khalid ibn al-Walid, and the main character is a Christian guy. You know, now you have a movie, you know, a whole series about Al-Buhlul Salamullahi alayh, and the main character is a Christian guy. So it's, you know, it's movie, so it doesn't matter. And then you have Muslim people playing Christian characters. It's very normal. So these people, you know, especially the ladies. So they asked her, you know, you're not a mu'min person. You don't wear hijab. You don't have anything that that presents you as a Muslim woman. Why aren't you wearing this clothes? She said, well, because I was never used to it. When I was young, I never wore this kind of clothes. Therefore, now that I'm older, there's no way for me to change my clothes and change into this kind of wardrobe. You know, I grew up on it. Our problem nowadays, you know, I go back to my example. My problem nowadays, and our problem as a society, we have diverted away so much from Islam that we go by what the neighbors say. What would the neighbors say about me if I did that? Sadly, and when I say no one, I don't mean anyone in particular, but it's majority, we care about what the other person cares about, and we don't care about what Allah says. And وَلِلْأَسَفِ الشَّدِيدِ, sadly, nowadays we're plagued with, and this fitna that we see, what's called the modern Muslim. You know, people so-called modern Muslims. Let me bring really sad news. There has never been a modern Muslim, there is no modern Muslim, and there will be no modern Muslim. Reason being, Islam, you know, Al-Quran is 1400 years old. Al-Quran, it was 1400 years old, revealed to Rasulullah, and it is to the day it's the same Quran. We've got information that in the Quran that was sufficient for people 1400 years ago, and it's the same Quran that is sufficient for people now. So which one is modern? Are we modern, or 1400 years ago were we modern? When Quran was talking about مرج البحرين يلتقيان بينهما برزخ لا يبغيان. Quran talks about the two kind of waters that merge together but they never mix. Two kinds of water, salt and sweet water. They merge together, they come side by side, but they never mix. You guys don't have seas. Back in Seattle, when we go to the sea, we see the currents. Each current is a different water type. Give you an example, especially for the young ones. Those of you who have seen the movie Finding Nemo. I love that movie. Finding Nemo, if you guys ever watch this movie, when the father gets lost and he goes to Australia and he gets assisted by the turtles, they were riding a current. The current is inside the ocean, right? For those of you who have seen it, and those of you who have seen it probably don't know what I'm talking about. But those of you who have seen it, the turtle rides a special kind of current that moves faster than the rest of the ocean, right? So that's two waters in the same body of water, but they don't mix. Quran talked about it 1400 years ago. So who is modern? Are we modern? Or Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was modern 1400 years ago for knowing this kind of information? Who's modern? Nowadays that we, mashallah, have electricity, or some Arab guy, his name Ali ibn Abi Talib, came across some body of water and he said, لو شئت لاتخذت من هذا نورا. He looked at the water and he said, if I want, I can make light out of this water. Who's modern? We nowadays that for having electricity, or 1400 years ago, some Bedouin, some Arabi guy sits in the middle of the desert, talks about generating electricity out of water. Who's more modern? A man 1400 years ago says, ينحدر عني السيل, water leaks or drives off of me. ولا يرقى إلي الطير, and birds can't reach my summits. Shahada lillah. One day I heard that and came to think about it, and I'm like, why is that Imam Ali salamullah alayhi says ولا يرقى إلي الطير? Why is it that he's making himself so high? Is that even possible? I see a lot of birds, they fly over mountains. Why is it that Imam Ali makes such claim? And of course, it's just something that I'm wondering. Why is it? If I am going to believe in this theory, I want to make sure that when somebody asks me, this man that you believe is the disciple of Rasulullah said this, prove to me. So one day, as I was flipping through the channels, and there goes the Discovery channels, and I was watching, the Animal Channel. And they're talking about the geese and, the migration of geese. And these geese come to the Himalayas. When they come to the Himalayas, they cannot go over the mountains because it is such thin air that they go out of oxygen. They have to go around the Himalayas. Wallah, wallah, wallah. At that time, instantly I thought, وَلَا يَرْقَى إِلَيَّ الطَّيْرِ. This bird cannot fly over the Himalayas. And a man, Himalayas is somewhere in India, between India and China, right? So a man thousands of miles away in the middle of the desert talks about being so spiritually high and so elevated that not even birds can go over him. And he sits in the Middle East and over in the Himalayas. We never heard about Imam Ali taking a caravan and going on a trip. The farthest point that he went is between Mecca, Medina, Al-Yemen, Al-Iraq. That says it. He didn't even go anywhere else, right? How did he know about the Himalayas? How did he know how to compare himself to the mountains? So who's modern? We? Nowadays, are we modern? Or Ali ibn Abi Talib, Rasulullah, and the Sahaba, Ridwanullahi alayhim, ala al-muntajabeen minhum? Who is more modern, we or them? If they're modern, if they are the modern, can we claim that we're modern? No. Are we better than them that we nowadays claim that is modern? What is modern nowadays? Modern nowadays? I tell you what modern nowadays. Comes to a television, mashallah, a country that claims to be 100% Muslim country. They have the good morning show. You open, you turn the channel. The modern Muslim will have a woman, half of her hair is showing. Half of her hair is showing. Okay? And makeup. MashaAllah. This is modernism. This is modernism. And if you take a woman that wears a perfect hijab, she is considered oppressed. By the way, there is something that is called hijab. The word hijab has been taken away from its original meaning. The word hijab comes from the word hajaba. The fi'l is hajaba. The source or al-masdar is hajaba. Hajaba is to put something that prevents you from reaching the goal. Meaning, if I was, for those of you who can see my pocket, if I put my hand right here, you cannot see my pocket because my hand is working as an obstacle. It's working as a hijab. My hand is a hijab between your visual and your eyes and the pocket. Sadly enough, nowadays when somebody says hijab, the only thing that comes to mind is a piece of fabric that a Muslim woman puts over her hair. And that is only her hair. Only, sadly enough, some people say it's hair only. Well, there is a hijab for us men too. Believe it or not, it's something that a lot of us don't even pay attention to. Al-hijab for us men is we cannot show off. We cannot show off our body. We can't show off anything that makes the other person, that makes a female look at us with what's called with riba. Riba, not ghiba. Riba. She has, she will have, emotions. She's a human being. She looks at that someone, his muscles and all that. Well, for those of you, mashallah, anybody that has got muscles, you can't wear tight clothes and walk at the mall and say, it's okay, I'm wearing that is haram. You have got to cover. You are required as a man to wear hijab. This is your hijab. The hijab is to prevent right now, I have no gut. I got no belly. But if I was to wear a shirt this big, my shirt is big. There is no definition how big my belly is. If I wore something that exhausted and it basically presented my belly, believe it or not, I am not wearing a hijab. As a man, I am not wearing a hijab. Wearing tight clothes, sorry Bakr, but if I'm wearing tight clothes, I am not wearing hijab. If I'd wear tight clothes, because I am defining, the only thing that I'm not showing is my skin. That is not called hijab. That is called covering the skin. That's covering the skin with something else. But it's not a hijab. So some ladies may think, oh, the hijab is only for the hair. And I was once questioned, where is it in the Quran that it says, for the woman to wear the hijab? There is no ayah in Quran that tells women to wear the hijab. But please don't stop me right here. I gotta finish. Why is it that Quran does not tell women to wear hijab? Let me ask you this question. If I told anybody, or if you see a child and you say, tuck your shirt, put your shirt inside, tuck your shirt. What does that mean? Does that mean you're telling them not to wear a shirt? Or you're basically telling them what's already obvious? You just want to perfect it. They're already wearing a shirt, right? But the shirt is awkward. You're telling them to tuck the shirt. Why don't you tell them to wear a shirt and then tell them to tuck the shirt. Because this is just basically, this is just going to be just nonsense. This is a waste of time, especially the Quran doesn't want to waste anybody's time. Allah gets right to the point. So Quran, although does not tell women to wear hijab, to put the fabric over their hair, because they were wearing hijab back in the pagan era, in the days of Jahiliyyah. In the days of Jahiliyyah, women used to wear hijab. The only difference is when Quran came about, Quran only wanted to perfect hijab. Quran only wanted to perfect it and make it better. They were wearing the hijab and it was only covering, like I said, the modern Muslim, the modern hijab that you see nowadays. It only covers the hair, only the hair. And I've seen some that wear a hijab and then come back with what they call a beanie, the hoodie they put on top of their hair. That is enough. That's what they claim, because Quran only, my father told me to cover my hair only. When Quran came, said not just that, if you've got your neck is showing or your chest is showing, that also has got to be covered. Sheikh Al-Aziz, I believe 2 nights ago, when he used the example of the fruits and the diamond, some ladies think, this is a ridiculous reason. I don't agree with you. I am willing to be whatever. Okay? Ask any woman. Ask any woman. What would you like to do when you grow up? When you get to 30s. Don't ask one person and get that answer in general. If we did a survey, what is a woman wants to do one day? She wants to get married and have a family. Women nowadays, in America, here, what we see, what we live, in school and colleges, not the Muslims, the non-Muslims, the way what's called a free woman, to do whatever she pleases. I always use this example when I talk to my friends. If we, in high school, of course, the answer to this woman's question, what would you want to do? She wants to get married, have a good life, and settle. This is what everybody wants to do. I tell my friends, you take a guy, just one guy and one gal. One guy and one gal, and you set them to go to 3 different movies in one day. In one day, on a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, you take the guy, you set him on what's so-called, on a different date. You let him go watch a movie with a girl. All they have to do is walk into the movie theater. That's it. They don't have to sit next to each other. They don't have to do anything. You take this guy and you tell him, hey, we got your tickets. You go to watch this movie. It's a 9 a.m. and here's another movie. It's a noon and here's a 3 p.m. You go with 3 different girls on Friday, on a Saturday, on a Sunday. Okay? And you take the same example and you take one good-looking girl and you take 9 different guys, 9 different movies. All they have to do is just walk into the doors of the theater and they can go on their own separate ways. Come back on Monday. Go to school. Tell this story in school. Hey, this guy went on 9 different dates and this girl went on 9 different dates. What would the guy be called and what would the girl be called? And the rest is up to you. The guy will be called every good word about a man. He's a hunk. He's a stud. He is the man. And the girl, you guys know, the list will go on. Why is it? We live in a free world. We're the freest country there is. Why is it that this girl is considered bad and this guy is considered good? And they both did the same thing. You know why? Because logically and in our fitrah, women are so pure that it is really hard for anybody to basically want to live with someone that is not clean. Women are so pure. They're so pure to the point that raising children, a lot of us, myself included, I've got 3 girls. I probably pay 15, 20 minutes to them on a daily basis. Who's raising them? My wife. right? My wife is raising them. And inshallah, for those of you single shabab, inshallah, when you get married, who's going to raise your children? I know you're going to do the best you can, but when you come back after 10 hours of working, and Allah razaqkum, you've got a store, you work for 12 hours, you come back home, you are so tired, the only thing you want to do is the pillow. The only thing you want to do is the pillow. And then next morning, you just got to get up, put your clothes on, go to work. 12 hours a day. Who's going to raise the children? Who's raising society? Billah alaykum, if a woman is not so critical in the Islamic eye, Shaykh Jalil said, some people call women half a society. They're wrong. According to Shaykh says, society is the woman. And woman is society. If we have good mothers, we have good society. Isn't that what the Arabic saying? Al-ummu madrasatan. Any mother is a madrasa. Madrasatan idha a'dattaha. When you prepare the school, a'datta sha'ban. You have created and you have presented an entire nation. Tayyib al-a'raqi. They've got good roots. What does Islam look at a woman? I was once asked by a nurse. She asked me, she asked me about, the woman wearing a hijab, and you imprison the woman, and you do that. And I started asking, I started telling her, this is what Islam says about a mother. This is what Islam says about a mother. This is what Islam says about a mother. And she said, you know what? You answered every question but one. Did Islam ever mention anything about your wife? Did Islam ever talk about a wife? Why is it that you're only answering my question? I was really shocked. I didn't know what to say. I was lost. As big of a mouth as I got, I was lost. I didn't know what to tell her. And then, of course, when something like this happened to me, it really killed me. I had to think about it. And then I came to realize, you know what? In Islam, we have no such thing as a single mother. In Islam, we have no such thing as a child, fatherless child. So when Islam says, Al-Jannatu tahta, when Quran says, when Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, Al-Jannatu tahta aqdam al-ummahat, Rasulullah means every single mother. If I knew, this is what my personal conclusion came, but that was months after I had that, and I delegated through my mind. If I knew that the heavens is beneath the footsteps of my wife, what kind of respect do I have to show her? If the heavens is beneath, this is my personal understanding of the hadith. The heavens are beneath the footsteps. Iraqis, at least in Iraq, when somebody says, hey, I need your car, okay? And I borrow someone's car. Last time I got in a car accident. And I say, hey man, I'm really sorry. I got in an accident with your car. In Iraq they say, Jawan alak, fidwa ilak. Don't care about it, right? Basically, the car is worthless. According, if you compare, this is the Iraqi terminology. Jawan alak. The car is more, your sandals are more worth than the car. This is my personal understanding of the hadith. Heaven is basically pointless when it comes to a mother. What is heaven when it comes to a mother? This is what Islam looks at a mother. And of course, when I realized that this is what Islam and this is how Islam looks at a mother, and of course, we all know, everybody knows, when a mother goes through this one gentleman comes to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, or comes to one of the ma'soomeen. He says, I carry my mom, I put my mom in a basket. I think he came to one of the ma'soomeen. He says he puts his mom in a basket and he carries his mom on his back. Not in an airplane, not in a car, not on a horse, not on a camel, not on anything. He carries his mom on his back, okay? And he walks from a distance to go to Hajj. Those of you who have gone to Hajj, if you are healthy, you will get sick. If you're healthy, you will get sick in Hajj because of how tiring it is. Imagine if you are carrying someone who is ill in a basket. And he comes to the Ma'soom and he says, Ya Mawlai, did I pay my mom back anything? Did I pay her anything back for, what she'd done to me? And Imam looked at him and he says, you did not pay back one contraction. One talqa. One contraction, you did not come, you did not pay back your mom with one contraction. And you take her to Hajj 40 consecutive years being carried on your back. Billah alaykum. If a religion looks this closely and gives such importance to a woman, would you want to let that woman go just as she please? Would that woman, if she holds such important position, would she just want to be free? Anybody can, shake her hands, anybody that can touch her, and anybody can see her hair, anybody can do whatever they want to do? Would you not want to protect that woman? Would she not want to be protected? Look at people nowadays. And sadly enough, nowadays we're plugged with such thing that is called Darul Ajaza, adult home. Back in the days, there was no such thing as Darul Ajaza in the Middle East, right? There was no such thing. Who takes her? Can you believe in Japan there is a decision, qarar, in Japan, Japanese people mainly, they're either Buddhist, they're even communist, whatever they are, whatever religion they are. Did you know that in Japan it is illegal, mamnu' in Japan to send your parents to an adult home? In Japan. And mashallah, bil Iraq, they show this elder gentleman. He says, I've got 3 children. 2 are doctors and the 3rd one is studying at the University of Kufa. He's studying at the University of Kufa. Do you know what Kufa is? Kufa is the Asima. It is the capital of Imam al-Mahdi salamullahi alayh. And the man studies at the University of Kufa, and his father is at a nursery home. And coming back to our problem, that's why we don't just point out. We point out our own faults too, because it is best that I point my own faults and try to fix them than it is to point somebody's faults and have them point the finger back at me and say, no, look at your faults. That's what women hold. The position that women hold in Islam is so important. Islam, قام الإسلام على ثلاث. If it wasn't for 3 things, there was no such thing as Islam. قام الإسلام على ثلاث. The first thing is Malu Khadija. A woman takes a major presence in Islam. Sayyidah Zahra salamullahi alayha takes a major step when it comes to the Khilafah of Ali ibn Abi Talib, what she did, and the loss of Fadak. Nowadays, everyone that is Ja'fari, that follows the school of thoughts, you're not Ja'fari because of Imam al-Sadiq salamullah alayhi. Believe me when I tell you this. Although this is my understanding, but believe me, if it wasn't for one woman named Zainab al-Kubra salamullahi alayha, there will be no Ja'fari. Right? Who preserved al-Imamah? Who saved Imam Zain al-Abidin? Yes, Allah saved Al-Imam Zain al-Abidin. But who threw herself right in front of him? Who saved him? A woman. But it is just sad, and it's just society. Women don't play such a big role outside of their home. But if I got a human being that is raising a generation for years to come, generation who is going to be the supporters of Imam al-Mahdi salamullah alayh, a generation of people who spread Islam, the true Islam, that is your job. And you still expect yourself that you are being Islam has done dhulm to you? There is no way. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم ورحم الله من يقرأ سورة الفاتحة مسبوقة بالصلاة على محمد وآل محمد.